intensely cultivated modern date. If the long-lost genes that gave the ancient Judean date its reputation for healing can be propagated on a larger scale, we may have something really important. An old, new food with remarkable healing potential.
Think Charlie Chaplin.
Buster Keaton.
Groucho Marx.
It is in this tradition of comedy that we follow.
How we're different from cinema clowns is that we are actively fighting fear, pain, and sickness.
There are 6 of us jesters.
Medical clowns.
Working at Hadassah Hebrew University Medical Center.
Healing patients with laughter.
I take off my red clown nose, I put it on the doctor, and they, the doctors, seem less fearsome to young patients.
I pretend to examine youngsters using my bubble blower as a stethoscope.
Much as we clown around, we are profoundly serious about our work.
Absolutely. There is nothing as serious as knowing how to make a frightened or suffering child laugh.
A clown in a hospital is a joke in itself. In our oversized clothes and enormous shoes, our red clown's nose and big flowers in our lapels, we are the spirit of humor. A reminder of joy and hope in rooms of fear and sickness.
Although medical clowning as a profession is new to Israel and scarcely more than a decade old in Europe and the United States, it has venerable roots.
Court jesters soothed monarchs in medieval times.
And 17th century physician Thomas Sidon Ham recorded the arrival of a good clown exercises a more beneficial influence upon the health of a town than the arrival of 20 asses laden with drugs.
Yes.
When we arrived at Hadassah 3 years ago, neither staff nor patients knew what to make of us, whether to tolerate us or ignore us.
We were Israel's first medical clowns, and even we couldn't be sure if the clown program would work.
Within months, however, the jury was in. Doctors now usher us into their departments.
Hey!
I'm the Director General of the Hadassah Medical Organization, and I can say the atmosphere throughout Hadassah has become tangibly lighter and happier. Young patients are more confident and cooperative, and the medical staff less harried.
A pediatrician was losing the battle as he tried to measure a squirming, screaming toddler. A nurse summoned me. I understood the situation at once. I produced a retractable tape measure and began measuring the doctor while the doctor measured the child, aping the physician's every move. Soon, the child was laughing.
I was apprised of a 6-year-old patient who refused to eat. Coming to him, I produced a collection of rubber animals. They are yummy, I told the child, pretending to eat one. Let's have a race. See who can eat the most. Well, from our competition over the eating of rubber animals, we moved on to real food. And now the youngster eats.
On one of my rounds, I walked into the room of a little girl attached to a ventilator. The child lay immobile, her distressed mother beside her. Without thinking about it, I took a balloon out of my back pocket, blew it up, and started twisting it into a dog. Now, while I can make balloon animals in my sleep, this time I purposely missed the twists, and the balloon soared, burping out of my grasp. The child's lip quivered, and then her smile became a giggle, and then a laugh, the first in 6 weeks.
The clowns have had an extraordinary impact on youngsters throughout the hospital. They take their cues from the patients as to how gentle or boisterous to be, or whether to visit at all. And this allows patients a rare sense of control. They help acutely ill children lose their fear of hospitalization and treatment and forge a deep connection with chronically sick children, however withdrawn and hard to reach. The cafeteria hospital refuses payment from the clowns for their meals because they do holy work.
Unlike medical staff, we go to patients only if they want us. Sometimes it takes days. We hover on the threshold of the room until they indicate we're welcome.
Sometimes the children are frightened of us, and then we pretend that we are more frightened still, cowering and peeking out at them until we get a smile.
Recently, I stopped by the doorway of a room where an 18-month-old lay in a crib. I had only learned later that she stopped walking 2 weeks before. Well, she looked at me. That focus is very important with a young child. Once you have it, you can use music or movement to start play. I looked at the feather duster that I carried. Her eyes followed. I waved it, and she followed with her eyes. I raised it, and she pulled herself upright against the crib bars. I heard her mother gasp. "Make her walk," she whispered. I trailed the feather duster around the outside of the crib, and the toddler walked around the inside in pursuit. It was just a feather duster. But for the mother seeing her child walk again, it was as if I had waved a magic wand.
We've all had extensive training in theater and clowning in the street. Last year, Arush was honored as Israel's Clown of the Year.
That was something, but professional qualifications are not enough to succeed in a hospital. You need multi-dimensional listening skills and intense empathy.
When I look into a patient's eyes, I see the person.
Right. I don't even think about the illness. Inevitably, we become attached to the children that we work with. And inevitably, some of them die. The first time a child that I had worked with had died, I didn't know what to do. I went to the pediatric nurse with my shock and sorrow, and she said, "There's a little girl in room 12.